What sounds like total nonsense but turns out to be true?
There are more trees on Earth than stars in the whole Milky Way.
Honestly, that sounded like total nonsense. I even Googled it. There are 100 billion stars in the galaxy and 3 trillion trees on Earth. Wow, that's insane.
In 1977, France carried out its last execution using the guillotine.
That same year, the first Star Wars movie came out.
Support us by liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Just a few clicks for you, but a huge motivation for us to grow. Got questions? Drop them below. We read everything and always reply. The best ones might even show up in our next video.
This might not sound that interesting, but once my little sister came home, she was about 6 at the time, and told us that dolphins are whales. We laughed so hard she even cried, but turns out she was right. She used to say random silly things all the time, so we thought it was just nonsense. Now every time she says something dumb and gets mad at us for not believing her, she says, "Remember the dolphins?" And we just stop because, yeah, we do remember the dolphins.
There are 1.6 million ants for every single person on Earth.
I'm still waiting for mine to be delivered.
Yours haven't shown up yet. Dude, you're missing out.
The fact that some Alaskan islands are west of the international date line makes Alaska the easternmost US state.
Genetically, mushrooms are actually much closer to humans than to plants.
Your eyes are actually positioned pretty much in the middle of your head.
I remember how that completely blew my mind once during an art class. People used to ride the subway to the last public hanging in Lemming.
Can you imagine what the last poor guy being hanged was thinking? Wait, so after me, that means nobody else is going to be hanged? That's right.
Oxford University was founded earlier than the Aztec Empire.
And that explains why my parents have to make such big sacrifices just to pay for my education.
Maine is actually the closest US state to Africa.
Similar fun fact, Norway and North Korea are only separated by one country, Russia.
Most people actually have above average number of arms.
When ostriches get scared, they don't bury their heads in the sand. They either run away or beat the crap out of you.
People drown in deserts more often than they die of dehydration.
How's that possible?
It's because of floods. Floods in deserts are usually really bad since drainage is a huge problem there.
Pierce Brosnan was both the lightest and the heaviest James Bond. In GoldenEye, he weighed 74 kilograms, and in Die Another Day, 96 kilograms.
New York is actually farther south than Rome. And farther west than Santiago, Chile.
By education level, the most educated continent is Antarctica.
Everything in this world is either a potato or not a potato. It's possible to create conditions where you could actually burn yourself on ice-cold water. Water has this amazing property. In solid form, its density is lower than in liquid form. Look up the triple point of water if you're curious. Just imagine how screwed we'd be if rivers, lakes, and ponds froze from the bottom up.
Our physics teacher once told us that the fact water freezes from top to bottom is the main reason life has managed to exist this long.
That's absolutely true. Water and its phase transitions are just incredible. Did you know that ice by itself isn't actually slippery? It's jagged and has strong friction. But because ice is less dense than water, when we step on it, it instantly turns into water. That creates a super thin layer between you and the ice, and that's why it's slippery.
I remember reading this on Reddit years ago. You can actually live your whole life without food.
Give a man a campfire and he'll be warm for a night. Set a man on fire and he'll be warm for the rest of his life.
On the atomic level, matter is 99.9999999% empty space.
Chronologically, Cleopatra lived closer to our time than to when the pyramids were built.
Sooner or later, that's going to stop being true.
When I wrote my comment, it was still true.
If you could fold a sheet of paper 42 times, it would actually reach the moon, assuming average thickness of 0.01 centimeters.
Unfortunately, it's basically impossible to fold a sheet of paper in half more than 7 times.
If there are 23 people in a room, there's a 50% chance that 2 of them share the same birth.
Let's say there's a disease that 2% of the population has, and there's a test that gives the correct result 95% of the time, and never gives a false negative. In that case, if you take the test and it comes back positive, the chance you actually have the disease is only 29%. That's assuming you're just an ordinary person randomly chosen for testing.
A million seconds is about 11 days. A billion seconds is about 32 years.
Brazil is 5 times bigger than Alaska.
There are 27 US states that are at least partly farther north than the southernmost point of Canada.
If you decide to cuddle a koala, remember there's a very high chance you'll catch chlamydia from it.
I feel like you and I mean very different things when we say cuddle. Ponies aren't baby horses. I know so many people who still think The company Beretta, which makes firearms, was founded back in 1526 during the Renaissance, right when guns started being widely used in wars.
The sun is actually white. It only looks yellow because the sky filters out its blue light.
California has more people living in it than all of Canada. Russia's only 86 kilometers away from the US.
It's actually even less, about 4 kilometers. Look up the Diomede Islands.
If you stretched out all the DNA in your body, it would reach Pluto and back. That's about 8.56 billion kilometers.
Polar bears and penguins have never actually met in the wild. They live on opposite ends of the Earth.
If you put your hand flat on a surface and tuck your middle finger underneath, you can't lift your ring finger without using your other hand.
One 45-centimeter pizza is actually bigger than two 30-centimeter pizzas.
The current water speed record was set in 1978. Everyone who's tried to beat it since then has died.
The record is 511 mph, in case you're wondering. I'm pretty sure I beat that record once and I stepped on something sticky in a lake.
A teaspoon-sized piece of a neutron star weighs as much as 900 Great Pyramids of Giza.
A human liver can be split into 2 parts and each one can regenerate into a fully working liver. My aunt had to go through that so I could live to celebrate my 20th birthday, and I'm living proof it works. I'll be 27 this July. Up until the early 1980s, doctors believed newborns didn't feel pain, so during surgery they were only given muscle relaxants, no painkillers. Imagine feeling the pain of surgery but being unable to move because of the relaxant.
Walmart, the U.S. department store chain, is actually the leading retailer of diamonds.
From 1719 to 1721 in Paris, prisoners could get out of jail if they agreed to marry a prostitute and move to Louisiana, USA. That explains a lot about why Louisiana is like that.
The fact that you can cough or sneeze so hard that you break a rib. Like, why is that even possible? Why?
Suicide Squad has more Oscars than the Shawshank Redemption.
There are more tigers in private ownership in Texas than there are in the wild on the entire planet.
The US government pays Microsoft to keep supporting Windows XP because government offices are still running on it.
Blind people don't see black. They just don't see. And it drives me nuts that you can only really understand that if you're blind yourself.
McDonald's is actually the biggest toy distributor in the world.
And Lego is the largest tire manufacturer.
The 15 largest cargo ships in the world together produce more sulfur and greenhouse gases than all the cars on the planet combined.
You could fit the entire world's population into Texas, if the population density were like Manhattan, about 93 meters squared per person.
Stand somewhere on the equator and start a stopwatch. Every billion years, take 1 step forward. Keep doing this until you've walked all the way around the Earth. When you get back to your starting point, take 1 drop of water out of the Pacific Ocean. Now start again, circling the Earth 1 step every billion years. Each time you finish a loop, take another drop from the Pacific. When you've emptied the whole Pacific Ocean, put a sheet of paper under your feet. Keep walking around the Earth, adding 1 sheet of paper each time you finish a loop until your stack of paper reaches the moon. Now, repeat this whole process 389 more times. Yes, 389 times. When you finally finish, look at the stopwatch. It'll show the number of seconds equal to how many unique combinations exist in a standard deck of 52 cards. Edit. Turns out I underestimated it. It's not 389 times, but 1,167,000 times. Remember, that's still just an approximation, but very close to the truth. Just think about how insanely huge that number is. It blows my mind.
Yeah, I'm kind of lost here. It's believed that every time you shuffle a deck of cards, the order was completely unique. That specific sequence has likely never existed before in the history of the universe. That thought experiment above is just a way to demonstrate how unbelievably huge the number of possible combinations really is.
Any fact about naked mole rats? They can't be classified as rats or moles. They use their teeth like chopsticks. They have a social hierarchy like bees, and yeah, they're cold-blooded.
And they almost never get cancer. Scientists have tried giving them cancer, but they've only succeeded a couple of times.
Imagine being born immune to cancer and then the smartest people on the planet get together just to figure out how to give it to you. Support us by liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Just a few clicks for you, but a huge motivation for us to grow. Got questions? Drop them below. We read everything and always reply. The best ones might even show up in our next video.